The intergalactic military academy on Station Pinnacle was designed to forge unity among species that had once viewed each other with suspicion. Humans, the newest members of the Galactic Coalition, were still something of an enigma to the older races. They were neither the strongest nor the fastest, lacking natural weapons or armor. Yet somehow they had earned their place at the table. Sergeant Marcus Hale stood in the training yard, watching the mixed species cadets run through their combat drills. Beside him, keeping a respectful distance, were representatives from a dozen worlds: Vorath with their crystalline exoskeletons, Kelhari with their 6 arms, and the towering Draknir, whose ancestors had ruled the stars for millennia. But it was the small creature at his feet that drew everyone's attention. Lyra was a Zerakian cub, barely 3 cycles old. Her species were apex predators on their homeworld, 8 feet tall when fully grown, with obsidian claws that could shred titanium and fangs that could crush bone. Even as a cub, she stood waist-high to Hale, her golden eyes reflecting an intelligence far beyond her years. Her midnight black fur rippled over taut muscles, and her tail, tipped with a natural blade, swished with barely contained energy. The Coalition had strict protocols about Zerakian cubs. They were never to be approached by species they could overpower. Their play instincts were indistinguishable from their hunting instincts. More than one well-meaning alien had lost limbs before learning this lesson. Yet here was Lyra, sitting at the human's feet like some domesticated creature. Sergeant Hale, Commander Vrex, a Draknir with silver scales and 3 sets of eyes, approached cautiously. Perhaps the cub should be confined during training hours. The cadets are nervous. Hale glanced down at Lyra, who was watching a group of cadets with predatory focus. "She's fine, Commander. She's just curious." "Curious is how Zerakians describe the moment before they pounce," Vrex replied stiffly. "I must insist." A sharp whistle cut through the air. One of the cadets, a Kelhari named Tross, had stumbled during an obstacle course. The energy rifle he'd been carrying clattered across the ground, and Lyra's head snapped toward the sound. In an instant, the cub was moving. The cadets froze. Training forgot. Protocols abandoned. They simply stood there as 200 pounds of predator accelerated toward them with terrifying speed. Lyra's lips pulled back, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. A sound erupted from her throat, something between a growl and a roar that vibrated through the chests of every being present. It was the sound that had kept her species at the top of the food chain for 1,000,000 years. Tross fell backward, all 6 arms raised defensively. The other cadets scattered. Even Commander Vrex took an involuntary step back, his combat training overridden by instincts older than civilization. But Sergeant Hale was already moving. He didn't run. He walked with purposeful strides directly into Lyra's path. The cub skidded to a halt, her playful energy now focused entirely on him. She crouched low, haunches tensed, tail raised. Her golden eyes locked onto his, and that terrifying sound came again. Louder this time, more insistent. She was challenging him. The training yard went silent. 100 cadets held their breath. This was it, the moment when human fragility would be exposed, when their lack of natural defenses would be their doom. Hale stopped 3 feet from the cub. He didn't raise his hands defensively. He didn't back away. Instead, he lowered himself into a crouch, matching her posture, and then Sergeant Marcus Hale, professional soldier and decorated veteran of 3 conflicts, did something that defied every survival instinct in the galaxy. He snarled back. It wasn't a polite human growl or a warning grunt. It was a full-throated, chest-deep roar that exploded from somewhere primal within him. His lips pulled back to show his flat, blunt teeth. Teeth designed for tearing cooked meat and grinding plants. Teeth that had no business being used as a threat display. Yet somehow in that moment they looked dangerous. Lyra's ears flattened. Her tail stopped mid-swish. Hale didn't stop. He threw his head back and laughed, a sound of pure, unfiltered joy that echoed across the training yard. Then he lunged forward, not to attack but to play. His hands went down in the universal playbow position that transcended species. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then Lyra's tail began to wag, a slow, uncertain movement at first, then faster. The predatory tension drained from her body. She made a sound, not the bone-chilling roar, but something softer, almost questioning. Her head tilted. Hale grinned and snarled again, more playfully this time. He moved in a circle, keeping low, and Lyra responded in kind. Within seconds, they were engaged in what could only be described as a game, human and predator cub, playing like littermates. The training yard remained frozen. Commander Vrex's 3 sets of eyes were wider than anatomically seemed possible. "What?" Tross whispered from where he'd fallen. "What is he doing?" An older cadet, a human named Chen, smiled knowingly. "Playing. It's a human thing. That creature could tear him apart." "Yeah," Chen agreed. "But she won't, because he's not afraid and she knows it." Hale rolled to the side as Lyra pounced, her claws carefully sheathed. She was massive compared to him, easily capable of pinning him down, but her movements were gentle, controlled. She understood somehow that this was play, that this strange, furless creature with no natural weapons was willing to meet her on her terms. After a few minutes, Hale stood up, brushing dust from his uniform. Lyra sat at his feet again, panting happily, her dangerous tail swishing contentedly. He reached down and scratched behind her ears, in the exact spot that would make a full-grown Zerakian kill anyone who touched it. Lyra made a rumbling sound that might have been a purr. Commander Vrex finally found his voice. "Sergeant, how did you know she wouldn't attack?" Hale looked up, genuinely confused. "Attack? She's a baby, Commander. She just wanted to play." He paused, seeing the expressions around him. "Oh, you all thought, really?" "Zerakian cubs don't play," Vrex stated firmly. "They hunt, they kill. This is documented." "Documented by who?" Hale asked. "Have any of you actually tried playing with one?" Silence. Hale shook his head, a smile tugging at his lips. "You know what your problem is? You're all so busy being terrified of each other that you forget to just be." He gestured to Lyra. "She's not some mindless killing machine. She's a kid who wanted attention and got it." He started walking back toward the command post, Lyra trotting happily at his heels. Over his shoulder, he called back, "All right, cadets. Show's over. Back to drills." And someone helped Tross up. All 6 of those arms, and he still can't keep his balance. Nervous laughter rippled through the group as training resumed. But something had shifted. The cadets looked at their human instructors differently now, not with the polite uncertainty of before, but with something approaching awe. Later, in the command center, Vrex approached Hale privately. "What you did today was extraordinarily foolish." "Probably," Hale agreed. "It was also—" Vrex paused, searching for words. "We've studied your species extensively, Sergeant. Your lack of physical advantages, your vulnerability. We couldn't understand how you survived, let alone thrived." He looked toward where Lyra was sleeping in a corner. "Now, I think I'm beginning to understand." Hale followed his gaze. "Yeah, what's that?" "You don't fear death," Vrex said quietly. "You laugh at it. You challenge it. And sometimes," he shook his massive head, "sometimes it blinks first." Sergeant Marcus Hale smiled and said nothing. In the corner, a predator cub snored softly, dreaming of the strange, fearless creature who had snarled back at her and made her feel, for the first time since leaving her homeworld, like she belonged. Perhaps, Vrex thought as he watched them, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their absolute refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible.